Kim Leutwyler.
Hello.
Hello. If you could take your art out for a meal, anywhere, where would you take it?
The first place that comes to mind is Alberto's, which is in Surrey Hills, right near my home. But that seems a little boring if I can go absolutely anywhere in the world. But Alberto's is just like super romantic, super sexy. The food is incredible. But I think if I wanted to really, wine and dine my art, but keep it on a very accessible level where it's like I'm showing you an experience, and I would probably take them to Mexico and go to a tiny little taqueria and have a cute time on the beach and make it really romantic.
I want to come with you to Mexico. When did you first notice your art?
Well, I grew up in a household of people who loved making art. So my dad liked to do sculpture with clay and woodworking. My little sister loves to do, animation and does kind of like these really interesting digital drawings and portraiture, especially centered around furries. Do you know what a furry is? Are you familiar?
Those little toys?
A furry is actually, it's kind of a sexuality almost. So it's a subset of the queer community, but it's people who, I guess to break it down in simplest terms, who identify with kind of an animal instinct or an animal side of things.
Yes. Now that you say all of that, I have seen that. Yeah.
And some people wear like head to toe furry costumes. Others, just like my sister, has a fursona, so she draws herself as her fursona, and she's drawn me as she reckons I'm an otter.
I was going to say, did you get any input into what you were?
So she does stuff like that, and also does really cool like monster makeup and prosthetics and things. And my mom is a painter, so she's a really fabulous painter. She does a lot of landscapes and still lifes and things like that. But yeah, everyone just does it for fun, not as like a profession, but I sort of grew up with us having a play with art all the time. But I first came to creating art, I suppose when I was young. I used to trace, Disney characters. I would get out some tracing paper and a light box and learn how to draw all of the lines like that. And then it was high school where I really started to get into it, and it was all about ceramics. Ceramics was my number one love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
How did you move on from ceramics then? Or when did you move on from ceramics?
Yeah, not until after uni. So I was super into ceramics. Like I went to a ceramics club after school. I did it as an elective during high school. And then I was actually meant to go to uni for accounting. I had a scholarship to go for accounting because I actually love accounting. Don't judge me. But that side of my brain is, I guess, the business running side of being an artist. And then about a month before school was meant to start, I went to Elon, North Carolina, the uni that I was meant to go to, and was looking around and just realized I don't want to do this with my life. I want to be an artist, and I also don't want to live in North Carolina. So instead I'm going to go across the country to Arizona and go to ASU for studio art and art history. So I kind of grappled with a lot of different things in a studio degree. So you do printmaking, fibers, sculpture. I focus on ceramics and printmaking for the most part, but dabbled in kind of everything. And I loved installation as well. Wow. I did everything other than painting. And then I graduated from uni with those first 2 degrees and sort of wondered what I was actually going to do with my life, because for printmaking, like lithography, you need a gigantic press, and you need all of the mediums and the acids and marble slabs and things, and ceramics, you need a kiln, you need a wheel, all these things I wasn't thinking about in my early 20s, you know what I mean?
I feel like your accountancy was kicking in. The accountancy brain was kicking in at this point.
I was like, I'm a broke artist with 2 art degrees who doesn't know how to move forward creating work. So my beautiful, beautiful flatmate at the time taught me how to paint in our living room. And I had my first solo show in our living room and invited all my friends over. And I put down, it was rainbow colored canvases. So one canvas was yellow, one was green, one was pink, blah, blah, blah. And it was all figures. It was queer people, primarily women identifying people and female identifying people. And it was, I put down a silent auction, and I think the starting bid was $5. And I sold some for $5, $20, $40.
Can I tell you, those people got themselves a bargain, right? They got themselves a bargain.
Yeah, so funny. But so then once I started learning how to paint, I decided to go back to uni and went to the School of Art Institute of Chicago.
Okay.
And got a painting and drawing degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
So if you were to think about your art practice and when you committed fully to painting, would you say the painting study was the full commitment, or was the...
Probably not, actually. It was a slow burn.
Oh, tell me. Okay.
So I started painting, and then I went to uni and sort of learned how to paint, or unlearned how to paint as well, and fiddled around and did a lot of experimentation and coupling painting with installation and stuff like that. And then I started doing commissions, and I really didn't like the things that people were coming to me and asking me to do, like painting their babies or painting
pets.
A scene
Were you getting? Oh, okay.
Yeah, pets.
Scene.
I actually do like doing pet portraits. I had these guys ask me to do a portrait of their friends of mine, but asked me to do a portrait of their ram. Their pet ram.
Well, they have a pet ram. I mean, gets them through a lot of filters already, right?
Pet ram with gay dads. I'm like, this is in.
We're in.
Doing that. So pet commissions I'm okay with. But they would just ask me to paint things that I wasn't drawn to painting necessarily. So I ended up getting a full-time job at a major technology company just so I could have a steady income and be able to paint whatever I wanted. And it was at that time that I started to gain some traction in the art world, because instead of just painting whatever I could to survive and having to steal toilet paper from the bar because I prioritized buying a shot of whiskey over toilet paper, I made that shift and was able to have sort of a sustainable lifestyle and pay the bills and then paint absolutely whatever I wanted. And because I was working, 40 to 50 hours a week, I was sort of moonlighting with my art at night and on weekends, and it would come and go over time as the creative process does. Sometimes you get that inspo and other times you need a little bit of a break. But it got to a point actually in September last year where I just physically did not have time to work anymore. So I made the decision to quit my job, and now I'm a full-time artist. So I've actually only fully committed to painting in the last 9 months.
In the last 9 months. Wow, I mean, you've had such a huge career I can't fathom how you have been.
It was hard.
Yeah,
it
right?
was really hard.
Oh my God, how do you feel now?
Incredible. I cannot recommend enough quitting your job to become a full-time artist. Like, I really cannot recommend it enough. I had so many artist friends. Jamie Prees, who I know has done this series as well, was a big proponent in that for the last 4 years. He's been begging me to quit my job and just commit. But I'm a Capricorn. I like to be financially set up. I
fair
like
enough.
To have a plan.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a buffer with some savings so that I could just live for a few years without, if I didn't sell a single painting, I'd be okay, and still not have that financial burden of having to paint things that I don't want to paint. So I sort of set myself up for that, and now I'm having the time of my life. It's great.
Wow. Okay, so in committing to your art, other than the day job, which you were done with, has there been anything else you've had to give up or let go of?
I'm still struggling, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, with a balance of routine and finding ways to make sure that I'm staying committed to my artistic practice while also being attentive to my friends and to my family, and making time to go see other people's artwork and attend gallery openings and support my friends. And I'm balancing between these two extremes where I just go in and paint for 2 weeks nonstop, then I'm completely exhausted and I don't paint for a month, and I need to find balance. I'm still working through it.
Yeah.
So,
figuring that
TBC,
rhythm out.
Yeah,
okay.
TBC. But it seems that I sort of give up everything. Like I forget to eat, I forget to pee, I forget to brush my teeth, I forget to do everything.
Your partner's like throwing bread into the studio.
yeah. And I get in this zone, so I don't know what's going on around me, which is good. It's good to get into that flow, but I'm definitely still trying to figure out how to bring balance and routine into my practice.
Right.
So we'll see.
So stay tuned.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've ever done for your art?
Oh, the craziest thing I've ever done for my art. I mean, move across the country twice and then across to the other side of the world. Like, I came to Australia 11 years ago for work, and it was meant to be a 2-year contract. And then I started submitting into prizes and got into the Archibald Prize, and sort of realized that I could make a career for myself in Australia. I'm like, this is kind of a big deal. Like, my stuff's on the news, it's on all these flags around town, it's on the bus shelters, and it was sort of in a big adrenaline rush. It was really exciting. And yeah, I made the decision not to move back to the US because I wanted to really, truly commit. But I don't know, I feel like I've done a lot of crazy things for my art, primarily moving to new countries or new states or new cities to kind of experiment and try things out. But yeah, I don't know. It's more craziness to come.
More crazy. It's funny, Jamie this morning was like, he was thinking about some of the crazy things, and then he was going, actually, no, I'm not going to tell you those stories.
Yeah, no, I just did the same. I was like, what's PG enough that I can say that it won't get taken down off the internet?
I feel like there's a whole series on just X-rated, not X-rated, but you know, like the kind of dodgy crazy stuff you've done for your art.
Yeah, things that, lots of extracurricular activities, lots of nudity. Yeah, interesting experiences with friends. Yeah, all kinds of things.
All those things. Have you ever fallen out of love with your art?
Yes, I have, actually. I have at different points. It was mostly when I felt incredibly burnt out. So I think the first time was when, I'd graduated from my uni degrees and was living as a full-time artist for about, I want to say 2 years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years in Chicago. And I was just struggling so much, and then having to create those commissions that I wasn't interested in made me sort of, feel a bit icky about it. But then I recommitted and shifted some things. But yeah, I think when I was working full time, and it was just sometimes felt like a chore to paint, and that should never feel like a chore. If it does, the painting's going to turn out like shit.
I was going to say, it's going to be shitty.
Right. Yeah, it's never going to look right. And, just weird little things like the nuances of your brush strokes, or the colors that you choose to paint, or at least that I choose to paint when my head space is in kind of a negative or dark space, completely change. Like, if you look through my paintings, you can kind of see when I'm going through breakups, and there's a lot of certain colors coming into it. It's really funny to look back over the last, how long have I been painting now? I guess 14 years. And see
happy Kim, sad Kim, angry Kim.
You can really see it. And just moving through the world, I guess my plateau is usually pretty happy. I'm a pretty happy person, I guess, altogether. But yeah, when it hits hard and it comes out in my art.
Yeah. Have you ever cheated on your art?
I don't know. I feel like it's always been there, you know, from childhood up until now. It's always been there, whether I was focusing on it as a primary thing in my life, as a primary passion, or moving on to other things and then coming back to it. It's sort of always been there. I suppose you could say that having a full-time job was cheating in a way, but also that enabled me to be able to create what I love and was passionate about. So I don't think I'm not a cheater.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear. Loyalty is important. How do you woo your art to get back in its good books or connected with it?
I think I definitely woo my art by being informed by other people's art practices. So going to gallery openings and museums and being really inspired by the work of my friends, my peers, and then just really incredible artists who I've looked up to for a really long time, and making connections with those people to help me kind of learn and grow and establish more of my self-identity as an artist through inspiration from others, I would say.
Yeah. Last question. What's your top tip for keeping the passion alive in the studio?
A vibrator. No, just kidding.
Sponsored by? No.
Yeah, I think the passion it's sort of an endless well that comes up from within you. And when that well starts to dry up, I actually think it's really important to take a break and put the brushes down, or, you know, whatever medium, put the tools down, whatever medium you're working with, and really allow space to kind of reconnect with what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because just like any relationship, you can't be together all the time and expect things to be honky-dory. You have to allow space and room to grow individually and then come together and be your best selves for one another. So yeah, taking breaks when needed, and then when the passion strikes, making sure to make time for it.
Kim Leutwyler, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.